Scout75, right?
Yep, that's what we are. And we're live. I didn't do the countdown because you guys gave me so much crap about how bad the music was.
Oh,
And I just used the standard StreamYard thing. So I was thinking of like, because you gotta have filler for like the first 30, 40 seconds because YouTube has to put a ad right then. So you can't say anything important. So I was just gonna make like just some goofy thing of me being stupid, which shouldn't be hard. And then like change it up each live stream. But of course, I didn't do it because I forgot about it until now. So I
well,
said
there's
nothing
next.
for 46 seconds. So I think hopefully everybody skipped through their ads, or if they saw a good one, they got to watch it. So, hey everyone, thanks for checking us out for the monthly Scout75 uh, live stream. Got myself and Greg, KD9MUG from the Shacking Off channel. Uh, Going to do it again. This time we're going to talk about power options out in the field, keeping your rig and everything going. Kind of continue the theme of what we always do. And I was thinking, Greg, that we got this list of ideas and we kind of just wing it each week or each month what we're going to do. We should probably put field day on the calendar and like for the month or two before it have like good stuff to know for field day, like the topic for tonight, so you have that before field day. But I don't know. How you doing, bud?
Doing good. Yeah, I watched some of your little field day shorts you had out there, and looked like you had a pretty good time. Pretty good weather, huh? Hot, but
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was a little on the warm side, but definitely bearable. It was typical in a June weather. And we know that guy. His call sign is remarkably similar to yours. It's almost like you got the test on the same day.
yeah, he just got a worse score. So no,
How you doing, Dan? Hope you're doing good tonight. And you're always more than welcome to join us if you want.
yeah, but
Um,
no, our club field day was not a huge turnout. A lot of the main guys, a couple of the main guys there, um, actually had like a wedding to go to, so we
okay.
missed out on those guys. Those guys usually set up and have a pretty good time, but it was
Oh,
nice. I got a good parking spot under a tree, and just I set my radio up on my tailgate and set it up because normally people like to come out and play on it, but
right.
unless there wasn't a huge turnout, not too many people were interested. But
Yeah.
it's just good hanging out and having fun with some of the guys. And
Yep. Yeah. I did basically the same thing I did last year. Is just camp out at the state forest right down the road from me. I like doing that for field day because the campsites are real nice. It's right on the St. Croix River, so it's a twofer for parks on the air. And if I forget anything or if I need to make repairs for my radio stuff, I literally 7 miles down the road, so I can run home and get it and be back in 15, 20 minutes. So
I forgot you showed your log where you had your 10 contacts. That was just 5 contacts, but there were two first. No,
yeah.
I'm just I'm joking.
I was agreeing with you. I'm like, no, I had more than that. And then okay, now I get the joke. Okay. Yeah, I'm not so much for the field day festivities. It's basically become just a contest. Well, I shouldn't say just a contest. Is the contest? The contesters have taken it over because uh, a little guy like me running 100 watts in a wire out in the woods trying to hold a frequency. Yeah, that ain't happening. It's all these guys with the amps, and there's I can't remember what they call, but everybody calling CQ pretty much is a one at home, type of guy.
Yeah, I don't
Which
know what that was. A Delta, maybe. I can't remember what the.
yeah, and obviously some clubs will operate out of the clubhouse and do the same thing, but I think that's totally legit because you're doing it with the club and everything. But that's always been my gripe. My biggest thing was to, and it kind of ties into the thing with power is I got some different batteries that are fairly new, and I just want to test them out, give them a good go where I would have the radios on for extended periods of time. I like I said, I did the parks on the air activation before field day kicked off, and then I just had the radios on, listening in on frequency, hopping around. I made a contact or two, but nothing serious. But in my mindset, that kind of fit with the preparedness thing where you're going to be listening more than you're talking. So having the radios on and everything was and seeing how my batteries held up was a little educational and confirming what I did. So that's that. We should finish the introductions. Drinking anything fun tonight? I'm drinking the standard Kugel's original.
Just drinking the Coors Original.
All right.
Had a couple left and got some benchmark bourbon. So
Yeah.
been cracking a little bit of that.
Sure.
Nothing too crazy.
Yep. I just cracked this one open. I got another one in reserve, and if this thing goes long, I can go and grab a nightcap of Buffalo Trace if I want to do whiskey. Oh.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
I want to do that now.
One thing I think, so portable, I've been using that N9 SAB link dipole 2040.
Yep.
And then normally I just connect it. I just keep it at 40 and then keep my tuner on there. I got a little portable tuner and takes care of it. And it works really good. Everybody, I remember they came out and they're like, 40's dead. Nobody's getting anything from 40. And I'm like, mine's lit up, Like, I'm like, well, your antenna sucks and you're inside the shack. So,
yep.
So they're like, you can operate 40. I'm like, all right, that sounds fine.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the next one, infed half wave probably from the guy. And easier setup, right?
Yep. Yeah, I don't have an infed half wave from our friend Tim, N9 SAB. He's got an Etsy store and he sells them on eBay. Really overbuilt antennas, but they're still pretty lightweight. They're great field antennas. I cannot recommend them enough. I got several of his dipoles. I don't have an infed yet. I should probably change that. But
yeah, I like the dipole, but when you're setting up by yourself, kind of stinks sometimes when you have your coax. You got two parts coming up and trying to get up on your, your mast and trying to keep
all them doing this number and yep.
So if you get somebody there to help you and hold one end, and then you hold the other and lift it up, it's no problem. But
and then another plus for the infant half wave, and especially like me on field day, I brought a couple of different dipoles with that I was going to primarily use, but the campsite I reserved, it was literally just a little hole cut out of the woods. There was no room for a dipole, and that's a key advantage for the infant half wave because they take up a little bit less room. And I hung up my linked 15, 17, and 20 meter infant half wave with plenty of room. And if it was even tighter, I could have set it. I had it set up as a sloper. If I had less space, I could set it up as a inverted V and all that kind of stuff. So there's pluses for the infant half wave for sure.
Yep.
All right, should we dive into it?
Let's
do topic? Because you're pressed for time. You only got like 50 minutes left before you gotta go. So
50 minutes until I stop caring.
Yeah. Having our beer. But start off as always to thank Dennis for being the supporter on Buy Me a Coffee. If everybody in the HamTube universe knows Dennis, or Adam as we call him because of his call sign, and I'm circling the call sign on the screen with my mouse, and I gotta remember that doesn't do any good because you can't see that. But
hey brother Dan, Go ahead and sign up for that. I know you got big pockets.
He's- no, don't. Seriously, it's all right. Uh, here's a feature new. On our last live stream, somebody left a good comment, and I thought we'd answer it here because it'd be easier than typing. But Grant built 5836 said for the IC 706 Mark II G, what do you find is the ideal hard case? And I said that question has multiple answers. We'll bring it up on the live stream.
Yeah, I think. Let me grab mine real quick.
Sure.
Right around the corner here.
Yep. Well, Greg is grabbing his. I'll fill the time, and I'll just show what I've done. Greg actually gave me this case last year when we went to Huntsville Hamfest, and it's the Apache 2800 from Harbor Freight. It's knockoff of Pelican. Pelican has one that's almost exactly the same size, and there's other options too for hard cases. Get what's your needs and your budget. But the overall interior dimensions for this model is 14 and 17 or 14 and 7/8 inches by 10 and 5/8 inches, and it's 6 and 8 inches deep. And I was going to write down the dimensions of the 706, but I forgot, and we'll just wing it. But it's about that big.
So you got your radio in there, and what else is in that case?
Yeah, and that kind of goes by why I said it depends on what you're going to put in that case. If you're going to go with just the radio, you could probably go a little smaller. If I was just going to go with just the radio in this setup, I would have oriented it 90 degrees from what I do and centered it. And that would give a little more protection all the way around. But I got a good, I say at least a half inch on the long ends, which is enough for my case. This is pretty much just for storage. And when I transport it, I throw it in the back of the truck or what have you.
I think that box you have there is actually the 3800.
You're right, it is. I got a typo.
Yeah, imagine that.
Son of a
shame.
Well, that's what I get for putting this slide together literally a half hour before the stream started. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just thinking, the one I have actually removed the stickers, but I pulled up my battery box, one of them, and it's a 2800.
Yep.
And it's, it wouldn't fit that in there. So.
Nope. The 2800 is also what I have for my battery box. Sorry, folks, fake news. It's not the 2800, it's the 3800. But nope, and I done did that. But those dimensions are accurate because I looked that up on the website. And what depends is what you want to do as far as what you're going to put into that case. If you're going to, like I said, you're just going to put the radio, I'd orient it the other way, and you could probably find a smaller case.
The 2800 would fit it, but not much more.
Yep.
And it would be sideways in it for sure.
Yep.
But it would do the job.
Yep. And that's the Harbor Freight Apache options. Amazon Basics has hard cases I think are somewhat decent. Pelican would probably, they have more size options, but they're also a lot more spendy. But what's too expensive is up to the end user. And there's other options. But back to this, the 3800. I like this because not only I have room for the radio, I have room for a Bioenno LifePole battery that's 8 amp hours. And also, you can see here, I got a charge controller. So this is kind of like my quick deployment set. Not only the radio was in there, but I got 8 amp hour battery, which would give me Plenty of juice for parks on the air activation. If it's some type of a emergency type thing, it would be enough to get me going while I get a larger battery hooked up, or to run this system while I'm recharging a bigger battery. That would be the main battery. And of course, I got this Buddy Pull charge controller that has a solar input in and 2 outputs for radios and accessories, and their output for a battery. So, this is kind of a starter kit for a field station setup. It'll work just fine on its own, and it'll work even better with another battery or a solar panel and that kind of stuff. And we got Izzo in the house. Hey, Don. Nice to see you, brother. Thanks for joining us. Sorry I missed your live stream last night. If you're watching this, you already know that Don Izzo, Smoke Signals RF, is one of the hosts of the Tuesday night Clubhouse live stream, which is always a fun time. I've been absent quite a bit this summer. My youngest niece has softball on Tuesday nights, and she usually has, or for a long time, she ended up having a doubleheader at home during the night of the live stream. And she's still at the age where she gives me a hug and she likes me being around her and at her games. So I'm going to enjoy that while I can, because as you know, of teenage girls, that won't last long. So I got to be the good uncle. All right. So now that
one thing I wanted to
just
show.
in the clubhouse are all the way.
No, one thing I want to show. So my case, I haven't used in over a year. I've got the rails on it now, but shout out to Ham Crazy, because they make the Apache tags. Look at all that information you could put on this box.
Oh yeah,
it's really specific.
Yep. Yeah, I got the Ham Crazy tags on my battery box, and yeah, that was a recommendation from you.
Yeah, but that's what I used for a few years. It was 706 in there, and then I had a Miyati 16 amp hour battery in the top compartment.
Okay.
And just connectors or mic, put the mic in that side.
All right. Yeah,
and then I would just have this jumper connected, to a SO239 right there, and just run the antenna from the back, connect it to the radio, and you didn't have to take the radio out at all. You just leave it right in.
Yep, that's a cool setup. Mine's similar but different. I don't have a port to add an antenna. I would typically take this thing out and set it up on top of it or to the side. But right underneath the handle, I should have a better picture, but underneath the handle, there's where the air valve is. Since I have no use for that, I just drilled that out and put an Anderson power pole in there.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, so the battery is wired right into that Anderson power pole. So I can attach, and you can see here, I on the picture on the left, here, let's just embiggen that, get our ugly mugs out of the way. You can see that with the space underneath the radio, I cut it out so that way I have enough room for some connectors where I put the mic, and also one little run of a power pole that connects to the radio. And then it's not that greatest picture, but on top of the battery, there's enough room for me to put another length of cable for a power for power. So that way I can either plug this radio straight into the port into the battery, or I can put a cable coming off into that thing, the solar charge controller, and then from that go to the radio. So yep. Thank you for the compliment, Kilo Santos. Yeah, having this thing on an airplane, I don't know how that would work. it's always hard to say because the TSA, typical government's always changing the rules. That might be a topic for another video, is traveling.
Looks like Norm's on break.
Yeah, yeah. Norm couldn't make us because he's busy working, but he has enough time to rip on me. I see how your priorities are. All right. Well. Hopefully the board of the clubhouse will ignore his considerations and keep me a member in good standings. If not in good standings, at least adequate standings. That's all I could ask. All right. So, and then to further expand, this would be a good size for the sets that we're talking about. If you want to have more stuff, then it's going to be a bigger case. If you want to have like a tuner or a larger battery and all that stuff. So, all right, I'll get some cigars in the mail for you, Izzo. So, yeah. For basics, an Apache 2800 would probably hold just a radio. Ignore the typo on the screen. A 3800 will give you the battery. Let me start over.
The room
A
for the
3800 will give you room for the radio with some room to spare for some accessories.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, and then I have a 3800 also, which I use to take my 7300. So it'll fit the 7300 and room for battery and accessories. So,
all right,
quite a bit of room there.
All right, we're 22 minutes in, and now we're ready to start the topic of power in the field. So I'll zip through this really quick, then we can talk about whatever we want, Greg, and who knows what will happen. But obviously, power in the field, the first thing you would want are batteries. Again, you see that picture I just showed you before on the right with my case for the 706. I got a 8 amp hour LiFePo battery in it. On the image to the left, that was from field day. That case is on the bottom. The case on top is kind of a battery box that I have with a 30 amp hour battery in it. And on top of that was a 20 amp hour battery that I used. Far as batteries go, LiPo 4 or lithium iron phosphate batteries, they're today's gold standards. Everybody has them. They're all the rage. They have some great benefits over your classic lead batteries. They're lightweight. For the same power, they're about the third of the weight of a lead battery. So because they're very power dense, the lithium iron phosphate batteries are very stable as far as charging them and handling, unlike some like the lithium ion ones, which can get fiery if you charge them wrong. The nice thing about these is the battery material itself. The cells are solid, so like you can operate them upside down. You can lay them on their side, like I have in that case. You don't have to worry about anything leaking out. It works out pretty good. And they have a long life. A lot of cycle times as far as charging and recharging. They're just all around a good option. But obviously, any battery is going to work. If you're on a budget, if you're just new to this, any 12-volt battery or proper voltage for your device will work. And yeah, I remember the days when we used to bring lead acid truck batteries. Yep, that's I still see some people set up with that where they'll run either right off the battery of their vehicle. About 2 years ago, I did a parks on air activation with some friends, and one was just getting into it, and he kind of embarrassingly brought a truck battery to the table, saying, "Sorry, this is the only thing I got." And we're like, "No, use what you got. Why get into it?" And holy cow, Kiko Santos, I clicked on the wrong thing. You're joining us from the Philippines. Thank you. This is I didn't know we'd get to reach. Thank you very much for tuning in to us from the Philippines.
Yeah, I think the old great Art Bell used to broadcast from the Philippines on Coast to Coast. I don't know if you remember that show, but
Yep. And Electromagnet Mischief has joined us. Thanks for joining us. Yep.
in the Philippines they do make a pretty sweet 1911 out there too. So
Oh, is that where Rock Island makes a lot of their stuff?
um, yeah, I believe they're Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
Lots coming out of Turkey too, but
Yep. Douglas V has joined us. Shalom, Douglas. Always good to have you in the chat. So, there's a lot of size options. Your main restrictions for field use obviously is going to be price. You don't want to buy anything that's going to blow your budget, but also weight may be a concern. Field setups, if you're doing like an Aries Stormwatch thing where you drive to a parking lot and you set up, or parks on the air when you're going to the nearest picnic table, that may not be a bigger concern. But if you're going to be hiking in or uh, going into a more remote area, weight does play a factor. Um, and then that comes with the compromise of how much power you get, how long you can go. For me personally, I would rather have two smaller batteries than one large, and I'll touch base on that when we come to recharging in the field because, uh, like the examples I have up here, or like I mentioned earlier, I could be running off that 20 amp hour battery as my main. When it gets down low, I can take that offline, hook it up to a solar charger or other type of generator and charge that, and then just switch to a smaller battery. But again, to contradict myself, if you have a good charge controller that can handle solar, a battery, and a radio or other equipment, then that's kind of taken care of. It's all on power management. So that's kind of my thing. You got any thoughts on that, Greg?
no, that's I'm not into solar. I need to, so that might be my next adventure.
Yep.
But I do on mine, like if I'm just going to field, so you know these homemade Apache battery boxes, where you charge it.
Yep.
We get. I got the idea from Evan W9CAW, a friend of mine here locally. I got
Yep.
a couple connectors to charge it. Just your standard connector, and then Anderson,
Yep.
and then put the panel in there where you have USB ports to charge. You have your
Mm-hmm.
12 volt, cigarette lighter output. But in this one here, there's still room. I could have went bigger, but I got
Yep.
two 16 amp hour batteries in here, and both of those.
Here,
Both.
show that again. Now that you're big.
Hey, look, there's a Don Izzo Smoke Signals RF sticker on top.
Hey.
Coincidence, but yeah, that's all it's inside, and it's kept in with the foam. And I've never done enough radio in a weekend to go through those. So
Yep. And you can see the black box on the center of that stack is a Apache 2800 case, and it's a battery box pretty much stolen from your design. Very similar in setup. Instead of two 16 amp hour batteries in there, I have a 30 amp hour battery, so it's roughly the same power and the same size. And our friend Tom, Tango Oscar Mike, chimed in that during field day the generator failed and the 100 amp hour battery came in clutch. So always good to have a backup or a backup for your backups. So
yeah, we had this guy. He's an older guy, and he's the last 2 years I've seen him come out, and I think he watches the Scout75 channel because he has all the gear you got,
cool.
And he just wants to go set it up,
Yep.
That's what he does. But he had a 100 amp hour battery he wheeled out there,
Yep.
and for 100 amp hour it was big, but it wasn't too big. You know what I mean? Like for
Right.
a life pole battery, He was definitely able to carry it out. So I don't know. He just has fun setting it up. He had that same camp table that you had, or at least it looked like it, the one that you set up at your on your video for field
Really?
day. Yeah. So I know he's watching the same kind of
Oh,
gear stuff you do.
well, he might just have good taste. Could be coincidence. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's the the foundation is obviously having a battery works. I mean, you can hook a radio straight up to a generator, or if you're lucky and got enough sunshine, the solar panel. But for stability and ease of use, obviously a battery is the first thing you gotta go with. Uh, generator power stations. On the left there, you see I got this EcoFlow Delta 3 power station, and it's a glorified battery box, right? It does a lot of the same stuff that the battery box that you and I have built will do. And if battery box is another topic that we can go on to. Uh, Ours are just strictly DC, but I've seen some will build some larger ones with an AC inverter in it and everything.
Yeah.
Um,
So with that case, is it pretty rugged, or is
yeah,
it?
the thing is, it's I've only had it for a little while now. I've had it on 2 camping trips now, field day, and I'm very happy with it. That obviously that's a topic for a whole video, but uh, back to the power stations and stuff. That kind of crosses the line between the battery box and a power station. Uh, I don't know if there's any official term, but for me, a power station would be AC and DC. Uh, Obviously, you can charge this thing from any shore power, if you will, grid power, or a or you can pair it with a traditional fuel generator. You can plug solar into it. It has some nice options. And Black Cad has found us again.
He's
Welcome,
back.
Black Cad. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah. What's up, man?
Yep. Uh, so these are nice. Whether you build your own or you get a store bought one like I have here, there's advantages either way. If you're handy and you enjoy building that kind of stuff, building your own is obviously going to be a fun project. You can save a little money. The store bought ones, they can be a little more. The finished product can be a little better, or at least way better if I try to make one. Your skills may vary. The store bought ones also a lot of times will have some apps that can be beneficial, but I imagine a lot of the components you put into it, like the battery or the inverter, can have their apps too. Not draw on that too much, but the nice thing about having AC in the field is uh, for other things. You may have a laptop that you're using for logging or digital operations, and it's not 12-volt friendly. It's just easier to have the charger for it. You might have an app. You might have some uh, other equipment that's nearby, support equipment for just your situation, whether it's a portable refrigerator or any other electric appliance that runs on AC, 110 AC. I'm thinking if you're doing like a overnight thing, maybe you might need a CPAP machine hooked up to it or what have you. Having the options for AC power is great. And then also for generators, you have the old school fuel generators, gasoline, diesel, propane, natural gas. I got a picture of mine. That's the generator I have. I got a small suitcase style one. It's dual fuel. I like that. Uh, yeah, it's hard to get a 12-volt anything if you have a Mac out in the field for sure, Black Cad. Uh, but the old school generators, those will quickly charge any battery that you have. I prefer the dual fuel. I like propane a lot because its shelf life is very stable. It's readily available, and when I do a lot of radio and stuff, I'm out camping, and propane's one of my main fuels for camping, so it's always nice to have. And the cool thing of these things is they can work together. Using a fuel generator may not be the most efficient way to do things. If you're charging up something, there's a lot of extra juice wasted. But if you're using a small gas generator like the one I have here on the right to top off your batteries and top off your power station, and then you can use that power from the power station to power things later, you're using that generator a lot less. So that's pretty cool. You got anything on that, Greg?
No, I was just kind of learning about it. I've never even seen a propane generator. So mine are all just old school, huge Craftsman
Yep.
gas generators that are loud.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was looking into over this winter. I was looking into generators because I wanted a nice. Hey, our buddy Bill's here.
What's up, Bill?
Ham Radio Tectonics. If you're not familiar with his YouTube channel, you should check it out. Bill's a great guy. We hung out together at Huntsville last year. He does a lot of portable stuff, a lot of general ham radio stuff.
Weather tracking.
Yeah. He does the off-road overlanding stuff.
Had my first Hennessy with him, so
yeah,
never had.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, we had fun.
Yeah, you always get a shout out with us, my friend. And Iz was asking, or he's saying that yes, some generators have a conversion kit, so that's always cool. Douglas is asking what generator is that? That's a Pulsar, company out of Canada. Back to where I was going before I got distracted with the comments is I was looking into a small suitcase size generator to bring with camping. I didn't want anything too big. Just if my battery in the camper starts getting low, I can charge it up quickly. And kind of the gold standard for those things are the Hondas, but none of them are dual fuel. They're gasoline only, which isn't the end of the world. Like Izzo said, you can get kits for them, but I'm not the greatest on doing stuff like that. So I did some research in this Pulsar. They have some pretty good models. This thing, it's I would say it's Honda-ish quiet. It's probably not quite as a Honda, but for my deaf ears, you couldn't tell the difference. I watch a crap ton of videos on different ones, and this one came out pretty good. When it gets too cold to use propane generator, I don't know. I was using this. As you can see, there's snow on the ground. This was in January, and I think it was below zero. It was either like -5 or -10. Granted, I had the propane tank inside before using it outside. We only use it for a few hours, but it was still working all right. Yeah, it was somewhere around zero when we had to use that. So yeah, having a little suitcase style generator, using it wisely would be pretty good in the field.
Yeah, good deal.
And then there's solar panels. Obviously, you can hook the panels into a larger solar power station or charge smaller batteries like that. Like everything else right now, and Black Cat's taking off. He had a very long day, 20 hours today, so I'm out of place. Oh, go get some sleep. You can watch us later on Team Replay. We'll be here for you.
Yeah, take care. Don't worry about it. You're not
Yep.
gonna miss anything.
Yeah, you ain't gonna miss just us rambling on. But thanks for checking us out again.
It's just shame trying to read words.
Yeah, me trying to read words that I typed. Yeah, I'm no good at speaking. But back to solar panels. A lot of great options of those these days. Yeah, like these are the two that I have. I got on the left there is from Renogy. Was called a suitcase style. That one's 100 watts. It's rigid. Aluminum frame. Very stout. Holds up to rain, wind, all that kind of stuff. Downside's a little heavy, but again, that's nothing I'm gonna backpack with. And then on the other end of the spectrum, and also this thing is fairly inexpensive these days. As far as solar panels go, it's downright cheap. And then the opposite in every way, I have that power film. I believe that's a 30-watt panel. It weighs next to nothing. You can kind of see is a soft, flexible fabric. It folds up. Yeah, it weighs less than a pound. It folds up to about that big. 30 amps works great, but boy, do you pay for it. So I would not recommend this unless you do a lot of backpacking or stuff like that, or space is a premium. I love the thing. I don't regret buying it, but if I was going to buy it over again, I probably wouldn't because it's a little bit on the spendy side. So that's your considerations: the size. I got weight, but I used the wrong weight. This is what happens when you throw this PowerPoint a half hour before you go live. Size, weight, and cost are your considerations. You don't want to go broke. You need something that's big enough to get the task done, but not super heavy that you can't move around. And yep, Izzo, there's the truth though. Buy once, cry once. That could be a show topic right there. But one thing to ask too is, are you really going to use it? Is it a nice to have, or is it cool guy stuff, or are you going to actually put it to use? I know. Let me scroll through the chats here. I saw it back here, but I know a lot of people will put them to use. Yeah, electromagnet mischief. They had a 400-watt solar. They didn't have to use a bigger battery. It kept everything topped off for their field day. So for him, it was worth it. But a lot of times, if you're just doing a Parks on the Air once or twice a month, and you're out there for an hour and you set it out and it tops off your battery, that's great. But if you have a 20 amp hour battery, you wouldn't go through it that time anyways. You can just charge it at home. But it's still nice stuff to have, even if you don't have a good use for it over and over again. In an emergency situation, you got it, and you know how to use it, and it's useful.
Yep.
Yep.
That's why you have it.
That's the slide. What are your thoughts on that, Greg? Did I miss anything? You want to talk more?
I need to slowly get into solar, not spend a bunch of money, but, maybe some Harbor Freight panels or something, like that first picture you had.
Yeah.
Something easy. Well, I would just like to have that just in case anyways. So
yeah, for sure.
Power outage, at least charge my battery to just, top off flashlights or top off radio battery, whatever.
Yep.
Not necessarily enough to, run anything crazy, but just enough to be able to charge your phone, charge your radio batteries.
Oh, And that's another thing I was going to bring up is maybe just a small power bank, like an Anchor or whatever for your phones and stuff. Hang on a second.
You're muted. I can't hear this guy.
Oh, I hit the mute. I'll be right back. I got to grab something, and I feel a little scary leaving you alone, but I'll be back in 30 seconds. I got to grab something.
It's fine. I'm just going to show off my firearms. All right. We're going to chug beers. Let's go, guys. There's only a sip left, joking. All right. This is a Scout75 show where he leaves because he's unprepared. I don't know. I wouldn't watch this stuff. Unsubscribe. All right. James said grab another one. It's a fresh brew. See it at the rim. Should I do it? Yeah, it's Scout's show. I could do whatever. Thumbs up, guys.
All right. Sorry. That took longer than I thought.
Shane, you're going to have to watch that on Team Replay.
I have never watched my own video, and I'm not going to start. All right. Let me...
Dan's still watching. That was pretty good, right, Dan?
All right. So, here... I went and I grabbed this out of my truck. I keep one of these in my truck. I keep a couple everywhere. This is like a power bank from Anchor. Gotta get my cheaters here.
Here, I'll just read it for you.
Yeah, maybe you can. I think it's a 20,000 milliamp hour battery bank. Probably says underneath where I put the sticker on it so I wouldn't lose it. But yeah, it's got your USB ports, and I still gotta fix the lighting in here. All right, USB ports on the side, USB-C, USB-A's. We all seen them. They're nice to have around. But what I really want to show is I picked this guy up. And as you can see, I'm building out a kit here. Well, you probably can't see because the lighting's horseshit. But what I got here is a Android phone that's unlocked. I don't have any plan on it, no SIM card or anything. Got this off of Amazon. Android phone that's basically just going to be for in the field stuff to do digital molds, logging, whatever. It's ruggedized, waterproof, shockproof, pretty much Shane proof. But the nice thing about this is it has a 10,000 milliamp hour battery in it. So if I have this out in the field, it's its own battery that I can, it's got the USB-C point on here, so I can charge other devices with this. So it's kind of a small package where typically I could go out with my everyday phone in this battery bank. I got it all here. So that's kind of a cool thing for working on radio and all that kind of stuff. And I'm back. So yeah, definitely don't forget the small stuff out in the field. Your wireless earbuds, a smartwatch, your phone, anything else that's USB powered. Granted, on the battery boxes, we typically have USB power on there too, but you might want something a little more handy. So, I think we covered.
I remember also like HT radios. So I remember, getting my first bail thing that Norm bought me before I was licensed, trying to get me into the hobby. Just thinking about, emergency radio, emergency communications, and so you get the cradle, and you plug it in, wall wart, plug it in the AC, and end up getting one that the base that would plug into USB. I'm like, hey man, I'll spend the extra money, get this extra cable. Now I could charge my base, plug in my base, put my radio on it, charge it in the USB. But now it's all, USB rechargeable. So you don't even need the base charger anymore. You just plug it straight in.
Yeah, that's
the best thing.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's worth discussing as charging handhelds. I know I have several handhelds. One of the deciding factors on buying it was that you could charge them with directly with a DC plug, just your barrel connector, and having that in the field is nice because I can charge off a 12-volt battery. But yeah, to your point, a lot of the newer model HTs are USB-C charging, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
One thing I noted from field day, I was going through my gear, and my biggest thing was to focus on power, how to maintain power, anything to do. Actually write down and see how long that 20 amp hour battery will last, and do some experimenting with that. And part of that, I had my 705 with that I had set up with that Faraday cloth 2-meter J pull, the Faraday, which is fantastic. And I was reaching, the 705 from ICOM. If you hook an external battery up to it, you get 10 watts of power. And I did a test where I reached out to all the area repeaters, and I got into them no problem with that J-pole antenna up a 30-foot fiberglass mass. And then I thought, just for the heck of it, let's unplug the external battery and just go off the attached batteries for the 705. If you're not familiar, 705 from ICOM, its internal battery is really just a battery for ICOM HTs. And that, with the 5 watts, I was still able to hit, I think, 4 of the 5 repeaters. And most importantly, the ones that I use the most and are the most active and nearby. So that's cool to see I can do that with just that radio. So I was thinking, the problem with that is I don't have a dock or anything to charge those batteries other than charging with a battery through the radio.
Mm-hmm.
So on my shopping list from field day is getting an ICOM charger or a charge cradle that hooks to DC that I can take out in the field and plug that into that battery box I have. So I have 2 batteries for that ICOM. That way, if I don't want to use an external battery to it, whether just to keep that radio as portable as possible, or where things are arranged, I have the option of charging that off, charging the second battery offline when I switch it to the other one.
Yeah. So I've seen plenty of, I've seen your 705, of course, but never realized it had a detachable battery on it. I thought you just plugged it straight into the actual radio. So
yeah, that's a real winning thing for that battery. That ICOM did really well.
So when you had the old Yaesu, what was it? 8 wasn't the kind of looked like the 891, but the small one. What were they?
The 818. Yep.
818. So They did not have that removable battery, right?
No, it has an internal battery that you can remove, but it's not it's a little different. Hard to explain.
No, no, I got you. Because I've seen that one.
Yeah.
I just didn't know it was. I didn't know the 705 had that. So pretty neat. But all right, I think I'm going to bounce off soon. Anything
No, I think we
that we
covered it.
missed? You think we got it?
Do we have a topic for next month, or do we need to think about that?
I don't have a topic for you. It's your
All
show.
right.
But if you want me to come up with something, I could figure
Yeah,
it out.
we'll kick it around.
Yeah,
We'll have something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Off the grid, beer coolers. Who knows?
That might be all right. No.
I saw your Arctic sticker on your battery bank, so looks like you already have one.
Nah, I think that came off a travel mug or something. I don't know.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Oh, we'll think of something. If anybody has any suggestions, leave it in the comments below. If there's a portable radio or anything emergency comms, portable radio, field operation topic that you'd like. Obviously amateur radio, but we're also open to like GMRS, Meshtastic. We dabble with that. Do we want to talk about antennas? We kind of talked a little bit about antennas in the beginning. We can do that. We're open to any ideas.
yeah, with antennas. I'm interested in antennas. I don't like watching other people's videos on them. I like seeing them in person and see them work, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Same with that N9 SAB link dipole. Never heard of it. It's a link dipole, right? How cool can that be? Oh, it worked great. Something I'm interested in.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Good deal.
Good deal. Yeah. Yeah, we'll figure something out. I don't have any capabilities.
Yeah. I'm sure there are some. He just doesn't know how to do it.
No, that's why I pretty much gone to doing these live streams using StreamYard because it's very simple and there's no editing involved. But in all seriousness, just my style. I try to keep it kind of like a vlog style, kind of informal, like video. I'm big into backpacking and hiking, and I always enjoy watching trail vlog videos where somebody's like on the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail, and they're giving daily updates and all that kind of stuff. There we go.
Yeah, that sounded good. I saw that in the comments.
Yep. Thanks, Kiko. We'll definitely do something like that. That's a winner.
Yeah.
But back to Jim's. So what I do is more of a, and our friend Tom does the same, very similar style. We're cut from the same cloth. He talks better than I do. He doesn't have my speech impediment, but a lot of mine are vlog style where I'm just having a one-on-one conversation. My goal is to not be like, hey, look at me. I know what I'm talking about. Let me show you how to do this. I'm being myself where I'm kind of a one-on-one conversation going, I'm not an expert. I'm figuring this out and you're coming along for the ride. When I film everything, I film it in the sequence that I want to do it, so it's easier to edit because I just drag each video in order into the editing and I just cut things down. I don't do a script or an outline, although I probably should to make things easier, but it just kind of just brings out the authenticity that I'm trying to bring out. Thanks. Yeah, I have used a GoPro in the past. That camera is pretty cool, but it's not their best model, and it gives me frustration. So for probably about the last year, everything's been off my
Didn't we have an issue doing a video together in
yeah,
Tennessee where we
yeah,
were at that campsite in Tennessee and we had to end up redoing it, and it was
yeah,
when you're redoing a video, it's so much worse the second time, right?
yeah. I think that was probably the last time I used it. I think that's when I threw in the towel. I used it a lot at our Huntsville trip last year, and a lot of the stuff I couldn't use. So for almost a year now, I've been just using my regular cell phone, which is an iPhone 13. Any smartphone now, the cameras are just as good and everything. So yeah, that's about it. I've had some private messages that people say I gotta put videos up more often because they enjoy them, which means there's more weird people out there than I thought. But
No, that's good.
I'll get to it. It's been extremely busy the last 6 months of my life, but
Yeah, I think you put out good stuff. It's
thanks.
not the usual, everybody puts out good stuff, but yours is just a little different, and I think that's what I like. I think it's why I found you, and
Yeah,
we became friends. So
yeah.
appreciate
Well,
the work.
that's the whole fun thing with the ham tube in general. There's hundreds of channels now. Everybody basically does the same thing or several of the same things, where it's gear reviews or how to's or parks on the air, summits on the air. But there's a few of us that focus mostly on parks on the air and type stuff. And while we're doing videos on the same thing and the same topics, everybody's take is a little different. Everybody's style is a little different. So it makes it fun.
Yeah. All right, there's Mike making excuses. Oh man,
Oh,
forget
man.
that guy.
And James is interested in my camping trailer. Yeah, I'll feature that more often and show it for sure. And
Yeah,
we can go over it more in October at the Wisconsin
I've camped with
Camp Out.
Shane when he's had that trailer, and I've never seen so many grandmas come over to talk to him about it because they're really impressed. And
What,
I
Huntsville?
think they're. When we camp and all the grandmas walk past and want to talk to you about it, and Shane's just talking to him about it. But I think really they're just trying to hit on you. You just weren't getting the clue.
Maybe that's why I'm still single. I just don't.
Yeah, hey, I bet that's comfortable to sleep in.
Yeah. Well, actually,
He's like, it could be better.
all joking aside, that is really why I'm still single. Because there's been many times in my life when it's like the next day is like, oh shit, she was hitting on me.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like, oh, I'm an idiot. Oh well. Ah. All right. Well, should we call it a night before you start picking on me more?
Yeah.
All right. So there we go.
I'm not gonna pick on you more. I just
Pick
might.
on me the same amount.
Yeah,
like
let's
this all the time.
time to roll. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's get the. What is it? GTFO.
We can do that. So thanks everyone for hanging out. I hope you all had fun. There's like 10 still watching, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's at least 7 more than I figured. We do this once a month. Again, it's all on emergency comms, preparedness, portable radio, beer drinking, whiskey sipping, having fun type of stuff. So if you like this, definitely come on in. And with that, I think we'll call it. We'll see you next month, first Wednesday in August. We'll come up with a topic. Others will most likely join us, or maybe not. Who knows? It may go for an hour. It may go for 2 hours. I think the last one went for 2.5 hours because our buddy Kyle joined us. But
Yeah, it went off the rails
yeah,
for sure. It went
yeah,
off the
we're
rails too
watching
much for me.
dog drag
Actually.
race videos. That
Yeah, it got a little weird.
it got
And,
weird, but that
yeah.
happens with us. But
Thanks for having me on, Shane. And
yeah, for sure.
check out your Scout Life channel, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
sure.
We're doing some videos over there.
Yeah, that's where you'll find the camping stuff and everything. And Kiko, thank you for joining us from the Philippines. And standard operating procedures on disaster when off the grid. That sounds like a great topic. I don't know if we'll get that put together for next month, but we will definitely do that.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I think we should do that one.
Yeah, for sure. And Greg, since he plugged me, plugging you back, you and your brother Norm, who couldn't join us tonight, have the Shacking Off channel, which is just fantastic on the name. You guys been a little dry on the content as far as putting it out lately, but your brother's been experimenting with live streams.
Yeah, I think he's gonna get some stuff going, and I'll just sit in the background and go, mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
it'll be good. People will really like it. Yeah.
But I think Sunday night, this upcoming Sunday, excuse me, was that July 6th? We're talking about doing a live stream with him. He's going to show me how to set up a BBS for Meshtastic on a Raspberry Pi. And if none of that makes any sense to you, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Yeah. But we'll be doing that. And
it sounds like a dessert.
Yeah,
there he is. N9SAB. He missed it too.
Yeah. Yeah, here's Tim, our friend from Chicagoland, joining us late, and you missed us. We're breaking up your antennas earlier.
Yep, used it for field day. Worked fantastic. Yep. When everybody told me 40 meters was dead, I checked it up and.
Yeah, let's repeat that story for Tim because why make him rewatch a very.
No, that's pretty much it. I was using Tim's 20-40 meter link dipole. Put it up outside. Checked it up on a Sean Hamrio dude mast and carbon fiber mast. Put it up and hooked it to the 706, and bands were open. So everybody's pretty impressed. So since nobody else could get on it, I was in control of the 40 meter band for field day.
Yeah, I don't know if you said that while I was trying to make you the main topic or if I missed it, but yeah, Tim.
He's exactly right. The dipole, never had an issue with the dipole. It always works.
Yeah, Tim, to fill you in, Greg, for field day, he went to his clubhouse. They were set up inside. Someone was trying 40 meters. And they said it's not working. The bands are closed. Greg set up his station outside of the clubhouse. He put up one of your dipoles, and everything came in, and he proved them wrong. So,
yeah.
Yes.
There was a guy parked next to me with an old Ford Ranger. I put the mast in the back of his bed just to get it up, lean it up against the tall branch with the dipole.
Mm-hmm.
You know, connected the links to opposite spots with, tent stakes and paracord and.
Yep, that method works good. If you don't have a way to guy off your mast, just lean it into a tree. I know people made comments on videos of mine where I have my mast leaned into a tree. They're like, why don't you just put the antenna into the tree with some paracord? And it's like, yes, you can do that, and I do that quite often, but leaning the mast is so much easier because if you got to make an adjustment or if you want to switch it out, or if it's a link dipole or an infed and you want to change the links, you just tip it forward, bring that mess down, make your changes, and there you go.
It's like, why don't you pour a concrete pad and wait a week and then build a tower on it and
Yeah.
then get it up extra high?
Yeah.
People, every stuff works, but I come to find out I can reach out there just fine doing some pretty simple stuff.
Yeah. And that's why I get so much enjoyment out of portable radio, because you can go to the same place and try to do the same setup, but each setup will be a little bit different, and you can always improvise and try something different, and and find what works. And it helps your mind, it helps you get creative and helps you problem solve it, and it's just fun to do that. And the last point you made, Greg, which is my favorite that I say a lot, is you see so many people get so wrapped around that they want to have something in the field that's absolutely perfect. They want to have that perfect 1-to-1 match. They want everything set up perfect. The antennas facing perfectly east and west or north and south and everything, and they spend so much time getting everything dialed in, when quite often good is more than good enough, and you can't tell the difference between good enough and perfect. I told this story 1,000 times before on a meetup when we're doing Parks on the Air, and there's two guys who had a dipole. They put it up and they took it down. They took it up and they took it down because they couldn't get the SWR to where they wanted. And what drove me nuts is they showed up with this dipole. They had a 7300 from ICOM, which has a decent tuner in it, and they had an external tuner beside. And I helped them get the antenna up. They're on the analyzer, and they're like, "Well, it's 1.8-to-1," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Golden,
ready to rock."
yeah." I thought, golden. You don't even need to put through the tuner, but you got the tuners and the way to go. And then they go, "Well, we can do better," and they started taking it down. And I'm like, "Well," I go, "First off, I'd just go with it because that's good enough." And you got the tuner in the 7300 will dial that in, and you got an external tuner too. And they go, "But we don't want the tuners to work too hard." I'm like, "All right, this is not my cup of tea. I'm going elsewhere." So I went over and I threw up an infant half wave. I had like a 2-to-1, and I said, "Good enough. I'm just going to go." And those guys, by the time they got on the air, I think I had like 25, 26 contacts, and they came over and I had a pile up going, and the guy looked, because I had the SWR meter on my 891, and it was like 2-to-1 or 1.8-to-1. And he just goes, "You need to get that in shape." I'm like, "It's working just fine. The radio's happy. I'm making contacts. It's not perfect." He goes, "Well, you're not getting out very far." And right then I got that infamous Pota Hunter from Alaska. He's like, "Yep, you're 5'7" into North Pole, Alaska." I'm like, "All right." And then after that, I got some guy in Puerto Rico. And that guy that told me I'm not getting anywhere, he goes, "Well, you're just lucky." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"No."
yeah, and then you punched him in the face and kicked him. Remember that?
No, I can't blank that part from my memory. Yeah, but yeah. Tim's agreeing with us. It's now if I set up a 50-foot tower at home when I got people coming out and I've actually hired somebody to climb up it, yeah, I'm gonna get that SWR freaking perfect because it's gonna be a permanent setup. I want it. I don't want to mess with it. But if I'm just going out to parks on the air or goofing around, if the radio's happy and I can make contacts, I'm happy. It's
That's it.
that's it. Oh, well, you had a hard stop 15 minutes ago, and we're still going. And kind of close things up, but Tim came in
Yeah,
and
yeah. Tim messed it up. Thanks, Tim.
no, no,
That guy.
nope. I will definitely extend things for somebody as
Oh
great as
yeah, for
Tim.
sure.
And if you're not familiar with Tim, he doesn't have a YouTube channel. He has fantastic antennas. Tim, put in the chat your where to find you.
Yeah, I got his off eBay. That's where I found him.
Okay, I have him off Etsy. But he's also a co-host on a monthly stream that's done by Outdoors on the Air Tracy, and I don't have. All right, this is why I should prep stuff. I should have like a document with all the links of all the people that do
Yeah,
stuff.
most people just have those automatically pop up.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what you.
most people know what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. This is the link to our friend Tracy. I can't remember his call sign, but his channel is Outdoor on the Airs. Great guy north of the border from Canada. Does a ton of portable stuff. Good friends with Tim, uh, Tracy, Tim, and oh geez, Chris do a monthly live stream on Thursdays. Fantastic people. Yeah, Tracy VE3TWM and Chris Bauer is their host. Those three are a hoot. They're a lot of fun. They have guests once in a while. Kind of similar to this. They kind of have a topic. Tracy will typically do a slideshow, and Tim is their Greg, who will just bring it off the rails. It's always fun.
Well,
Check them out if you don't. They have it on
you're not
third,
you're not
one
very good
Thursday of the
hype
month.
man. You're not very good hype man, Shane.
No,
You,
I'm not.
like they're not video. Their channel's not a hoot. You know, it's badass.
All right, fine. Their channel's
Yeah,
badass.
yeah.
Chris has his own channel too. KC2CJB. Thanks, Tim, for bringing it up. Definitely worth checking out. And then Kiko, back on the subject of SWR. He has made a 40-meter contact of a SWR of 2.1 to 1 with California from Manila. Jeez, I cannot talk.
Yeah.
Manila, the Philippines. So if you look at the west coast of the United States and you spin that globe to see where the Philippines is, that's a hike. And doing that with a 2.1 to 1 SWR on 40 meters, yeah, let's keep it below, 2 to 1, anything, 2 to 1, maybe 2.5 is most I push. Anything more than that, then yeah, depending on your radio, it might get a little spicy, but don't be afraid of a high SWR. If it isn't messing up your radio, you'll be fine. And the antenna man agrees with me.
Yeah.
All the 2 to 1 rule, usually. Sometimes you push it a little bit, but I think most radios will cut out like at 3 to 1, or I think that's the point where you're going to be a little dangerous. And I'm not the guy to talk about technical stuff like that because I just go out and do stuff and break things once in a while. But if you don't want to break things, keep it, 2-1, you're going to be good. And yeah, if you're going QRP, you get a little more lenience on that because there's less power that's coming back that could potentially fry your radio. I'm getting way more.
Find that in your Apple Music library. You can ask me to play a radio station or ask for your music on a different app.
Oh, Shane Sexbot's getting a little antsy.
Yeah, I got the little iPod thing on my desk, and it just started giving me suggestions, even though I don't have the you know what turned on. Oh. All right. I think we're done. Are we done this time? I think we gave the Midwest goodbye like 3 tries here.
Well, Tim wants to know her name. Why do you think it's a her? That's what I want to know.
Oh, come on now. Oh, all right.
You think Shane has a stutter? I think it's more of a lisp. No, just teasing. Her name's Sharon.
Sharon is Karen. All right. I think
yeah, you better get me off here.
Yeah, we better get off here. This is more of a backstage thing. All right, thanks, folks, for watching the 1 hour live stream with the 21-minute Midwest goodbye. We had fun. We'll have fun next time.
See you guys.
Oh, I should have queued up the end thing. There we go.